What happens when you try to teleport living things?
Not while we're eating.
Welcome to Screams and Streams, the podcast that looks at the best and worst horror movies as rated on Rotten Tomatoes from 1970 onwards. I'm your host, Sam Schreiner, and with me are my co-hosts,
Mike Karen
and
Chad Campbell.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram. Our handle is @ScreamStreamPod. Also, check out our website at screamsandstreams.com for more information about all the films we are looking at. Just a warning, if you don't like spoilers, we recommend that you stop listening now, check out the film, and then rejoin us for our discussion. Today we're looking at David Cronenberg's 1986 film, The Fly. It scored 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's get into it. Mike, do you want to start with our summary?
Sure. An eccentric scientist changes the world with his teleportation technology. When his experiment seems to be going well, Dr. Seth Brundle tests his machine on himself, and he gets fused with the worst kind of pest on the planet Earth, the fly.
The Fly.
What is the price of man playing God? Only Seth knows.
Is he playing God by transporting one thing to from one side of the room to the other?
And did he change the world? Like he changed himself.
Didn't make it out of his fucking apartment.
Didn't even change his clothes.
All right, thanks for that, Mike.
Yeah.
And now let's head into our sinister sip. Mike, what are we drinking today?
Today we are drinking a pina colada on the rocks from Salma's Kitchen. And I chose this drink to hopefully replicate the color and texture of Brundlefly's mouth acid.
Oh, why would you tell us that?
Should have waited till we took a sip.
So gross.
It looked so good.
It looks so good, and then you said that.
Cheers.
Now I'm sad.
I want to know what you searched for. You were like, I want to.
I didn't. The instant I saw him vomit, I was like, pina colada for this
Oh,
one.
okay. There you go. I was wondering if you were like, I need something that's this color, this texture.
It led me to some weird websites.
I was gonna say I have a lot of comments about the fluids.
This is going down a rabbit hole that I'm just was not ready to go down.
It's too early. It's too early.
God. Tastes good.
Love it.
Mine's good.
Yummy.
It actually is really good.
It's tasty.
Yeah, it's tasty. It's
Really
just
tastes the coconut.
I like it. I like it. Very fresh. All right. Thanks for that, Mike. Let's head into our first impressions. Chad, can you kick us off?
Sure. Well, I had seen this film. I actually watched this before we even started the podcast. So what was that, a year ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So about a year and a bit ago, I watched this. And so it's not really new. Kind of wish I would have waited. I remember really, really enjoying it as a kid and liking it further on. This time, I don't know. It missed the mark for me. I didn't like it. I was kind of bored, maybe because I had just seen it not too long ago. It looked dated. It looked not as good as I remembered. There are scenes that really pop for me, which, I enjoyed. But overall, I was like, I could have missed it. So, yeah, not my favorite.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I liked the movie. Overall, I thought it was good. I actually hadn't seen it before. I've heard a lot about it and I've heard it's good. I've had friends say, oh, you need to do this movie on the podcast. I was like, well, we're doing it. It's one of the best, 1986. And overall, I liked it. I do agree it was a little bit boring. I don't think it lived up totally to the hype that it was given, but maybe I came in with that expectation. But overall, I enjoyed it. Mike, what about you?
So the first time I watched this was in junior high at a friend's house.
In the basement. We rented it from Blockbuster and a friend's dad rented it for me.
Introduced it to me. We're going to start putting Mike's intro into our intro of the podcast. All these movies.
The best, worst, and ones that Mike watched at a friend's house. So yeah, this was just, it was one that was on HBO. And again, the dad's like, you got to watch this. My only recollection from that watch, honestly, was the scene where he's eating like a fly, like just that stuff coming out of his mouth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And a bit of the relationship between Jeff Goldblum and Geena Davis. Like, I completely blanked out all of the Cronenberg body horror from that watch for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is crazy because there's a lot of it.
Because it's very apparent.
So going back to watch it, this is the second time I saw it. So
okay,
again, you're looking at a 30 some odd year gap in viewing. I loved it. I was at a conference, and so I had to go back to my hotel room to watch this. And anybody walking down the hall would have thought I was watching like the most exciting thing, because I was like, oh, what? Like, I loved it. I enjoyed the relationship. I enjoyed Jeff Goldblum's like quirky acting. I've got so much stuff for the categories that just, this movie hit so many pieces that I was just like, this is great. This is great. So yeah,
That's
first impression
awesome.
is I loved it.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
good.
So it seems like we're all kind of on different
Yep.
pages,
Because I'm going
right?
to shit on everything Mike says.
Our new goal is to shit on everything.
You do every other time. So. Do you want me to give you my back it ups now so you know what to do?
Yeah, so I can do that, right? Just get that out of the way.
All right, Mike, you're going to start us off with our Tropes Hall of Shame.
So the first one is giving secrets to a journalist.
Yes, I had that
Shocked
as well.
that she's going to take his story.
Yeah.
Like, wait, no, this was just for you. I wasn't expecting you to go with this. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You took a journalist back to your house to show off your invention. What do you think's going to happen?
That you said is going
dumbass?
to change the world, right?
No, just the world for you. And then the other trope is just like a guy who's dumped, not thinking it's over, right? So the editor insisting like she still loves him, and like I'm going to hold on to this key.
It just shows up in her
It's
shower. And,
just chilling in her house.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like that's
Super
breaking and
creepy.
entering. Like,
Yeah.
it's not okay.
yeah.
Chad, did you have a couple?
Yeah, I did. I had a reporter falling in love with a brilliant, misguided scientist. And then I also had a rundown building outside, and inside is huge, spacious, clean, and beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think this thing really hit a lot in the 80s, where they always live in these back alleys, these dilapidated, look like they're just destroyed old warehouses. And then you open the big sliding door, and it's this beautiful, large apartment.
Yeah.
That, you know, very spacious, enough to fit these 3 pods in. Although he does sleep on a hide-a-bed. So
Yeah.
The piano takes
yeah,
up a good
it
amount
has a
of space
piano
that
and a
he
hide-a-bed,
serenades.
This movie and Big really set me up to be disappointed to be in a house as an adult.
I know. Why don't we just get one of those loft apartments that are massive? Oh, they're like $8,000 a month. Okay, then I guess we're not going to do that.
Perfect. Thanks, Chad. I had a couple. I had the same, actually, as you guys both did, the journalist. And then I also had the scientist, or we see sometimes the doctor, on a mission to save the world or change the world and make it a better place. So we see that quite a bit.
Right.
And then my other one was the leather jacket. So every guy who's got anything puts on a leather jacket. He's got a new persona. He's a cool guy.
Are they shirtless, though?
Oh,
Yeah, going to a bar eating chocolate bars. Nothing more attractive.
Had so many coming out of those pockets.
Oh man, he just must have had those like
Went to Costco,
loaded
got
up
a
there.
12 box.
Yeah. Just O. Henry's all
whipping
day
them
long.
out.
Yeah.
They'd be like warm, but yeah, gross.
Warm.
You can't put it in your pocket. Mike, did you have any more tropes?
Yeah, finding the answer or the insight in a casual comment.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
When he's like, the old ladies were crazy for flesh. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't program the computer to be crazy about flesh.
Yeah.
That was a weird.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, it
weird.
was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy with the beard is a sleazebag, right? So it's the 1980s. So
Every guy with a beard is a sleazeball.
yeah.
Thanks for those, Mike. Chad, did you have another?
Well, mine was similar on the same page where he does the steak.
Yeah.
And she tastes the one. She's like, tastes like a steak, needs more finesse. And she's like, tastes good. And then she tastes, oh, it's awful. And he's like, that's right. It's synthetic. And then it just comes to him that that's it. Also, by today's economy, why are you killing steaks like that? Like, that's just ridiculous. So much of that steak was ruined. And pan fried, please.
Not even in butter.
Have you tried to use a barbecue in a loft apartment?
I'm sure he had a balcony.
Thanks, Chad. My last one here is the machine that says exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So the machine,
Oh, right,
the
yeah.
computer is saying like, oh no,
It answers him like,
instantly. Yeah. I was like, I don't think it's the same. Yeah.
no, there was a fly in the thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, Mike, did you have any more?
Yes. The scientists testing on themselves.
Right.
Or you're close to the answer, so therefore it's got to be on yourself. And then the scientist not seeing the warning signs. Like clearly something's wrong. He's growing insect hairs. He's like, oh, no, this is great. I've got metabolism. I've never felt better. You've got to do this.
Yeah. Now we're going to head into our one-liners. I'm going to kick us off. My first one is between Ronnie and her ex, like the editor or publisher. And she says, don't you get it? I'm finally onto something that's big, huge. And he says, yeah, what? His cock?
Yeah.
And then she goes, crude, Stathis, very crude.
I had that one.
I had that one too.
Another one that I had was when Seth said, my teeth have begun to fall out. The medicine cabinet is now the Brundle Museum of Natural History. You want to see what else is in it?
I like that as well.
Yeah.
It was really clever. Chad, did you have some?
Yeah, I do. When he's I don't know why I put this because it's actually kind of creepy, but when he's trying to get her into the teleportation pod and she's just like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. And then he just snaps. He's like, you're a fucking drag. You know that? And he just loses his mind. It's like, and then he just like off. I'm going to go find someone that will then.
Yeah.
And then goes to the bar and picks up ladies. Oh, and I love this one. It's the editor when he's speaking, but he's such a nice guy. And he says, I'm sure Typhoid Mary was a very nice person when you saw her socially.
I had that one as well.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that one.
Mike, what did you have?
My first one is when he's like not feeling great and his motion sickness. He's like, you're not a very accomplished drunk. He's just like, when I was a kid, I puked on my tricycle.
Yeah.
And then I liked he was clearly joking, but there was a sinisterness to it where he's brought her back to the place, shown her the pods. He's like, it's too late. You've already seen them. Can't let you leave here alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. One of mine that I liked was with Tawny. And Tawny's brought back to the apartment and goes, are you a bodybuilder or something? And then he says, yeah, I build bodies. I take them apart and put them back together again. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Chad, did you have any?
Well, I had a couple that you really had to watch to kind of get. There's a part where he's in the shower and he's like, oh, I was in the neighborhood. And I just made a note that just felt really scummy because he's in there, he's showering up. He's like, I've got your key and all this. Yeah, it just felt really scummy to me. And then there was one. It was when she comes back later on and she is like, hello. And he goes, oh, you're back. You've missed some good moments. and he's just this total deformed thing that comes out of the shadows. You've missed some good moments. And I was like, oh my God.
All lumpy. Thanks, Chad. Mike, did you have any more?
Yeah, I had a few more. I really like Geena Davis in this movie. So when she's leaving and he's like, where are you going? And she says, I still have the residue of another life. I have to scrape it off my shoe just once and for all and get rid of it.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Love that line. I like the throwaway of, is it live or is it Memorex? I really liked when he's got Tawny and he's being overly aggressive and Geena Davis is like, be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah.
But Seth is like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I live with my mother. Mom, meet Tawny.
I like that one as well.
And my last one, it's just, I love the humor of it, but it made it us, me and the fly. We hadn't even been properly introduced.
I actually had one more. Seth it's at the end, right before the final transformation. And he says, we'll be the ultimate family, a family of 3 joined together in one body, more human than I am alone. And then he goes in and he talks a little bit more, but then he says, but you only know society's straight line about the flesh. You can't penetrate beyond society's sick, gray fear of the flesh. Drink deep or taste not the plasma spring. See what I'm saying? And I'm not just talking about sex and penetration. I'm talking about penetration beyond the veil of the flesh, a deep penetrating dive into the plasma pool.
Yeah.
Really intense for that, that moment. It just keeps going on and on.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to move into what doesn't hold up, and Mike is going to kick us off.
The first thing that jumped out at me was the testing on live animals.
Oh, yeah.
The baboons. Just that first one that goes horribly wrong.
Yep.
And where does he get these baboons
I
from?
know, I was going to say, he's just got these baboons on layaway. Like, they're just ready to come and test on. Yeah.
That was actually my what the fuck moment when the baboon's there, but then also a second time later when it just jumps into his arms, and then it wasn't through reading that it's like, those are his pet baboons. I was like, oh, he had to. And yeah, they were both his pet. All right, Chad.
So what doesn't hold up for me was, first of all, the relationship between the editor, the way it started. She says they started a relationship while he was a professor and she was a science student.
Yeah.
So not only is that super creepy, But then that carries forward into where he's her boss and editor. And also, you know, she's working for him and they had a relationship where they were living together. And it's just really super creepy.
Well, the whole relationship is gross. And then because he's overstepping boundaries being in the house as well. And so clearly it's over for her. And then he follows her as well, stalks her.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
said the editor is a stalker because he stays out all night. And Yeah.
Yeah. And so then that happens. And then she immediately
at the clothing store too.
Yes. Yeah. And then later she goes back to him, ish, right? Towards the end and goes to him for help.
Yes.
When
to get the abortion.
So weird.
And he's like, I know some people. He's like, so you're connected with the underworld of the abortion community. So we're just going to call him at midnight and get this done right now. Right
this second.
It's weird. I also had the acting in the clothing store. It was just way too over the top.
Yeah.
He was so cartoonish and loud and just falling around and she's just buying a leather jacket. It was just way too much.
Yeah.
So I didn't like those 2 moments.
Yeah, I would agree. So mine was the relationship. And then my other one was arm wrestling at the bar. It was really weird.
Oh, that happens.
Not in the bars I
For
go
the right
to.
to sleep with a woman?
And so that was the second
not
part.
that,
So at first I said arm wrestling at the bar as a whole, but then of course that line that you're talking about, Mike, and I kind of laughed at the end a little bit just because Seth goes, and if I win, I get to take the lady home for the night. And then she says, do I look like a hooker to you? And then he just takes a big swig of his drink and doesn't answer. Which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes.
But no, but yes. Mike, did you have another?
Yeah, mine was the made-for-TV fade to black when Seth finds out he was fused with the fly.
Oh.
Where the computes and then the computer spits out that really weird drawing of the fly and it takes the reveal is obvious and it still keeps punching. And it also just fades to black like commercial
Enhance. It's like, okay, give me a break.
Yeah, too much. Chad, did you have another?
I did, because as I get older, I am very aware of where I need to sleep. And sleeping on a hide-a-bed just doesn't fucking hold up. You can do that in university. You can do that shit when you're in high school. You can't do that when you're older. There's a bar that runs across that just hits you mid-back. And at one point, he even wakes up and says, oh, my back. And it's like, well, you're on a fucking hide-a-bed.
You're a grown-up. Get a bed.
Get a bed. In that huge loft, you can't get a bed? Give me a break. It doesn't hold up. I don't believe it.
Mike, did you have another?
Yeah, just my last one is in the hospital when she's there to get the abortion and then the monster comes through the glass to grab her and then back out.
Oh, yeah.
It felt very King Kong-esque or something like that.
I thought Swamp Thing.
Or Swamp Thing, yeah.
I was thinking the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
But regardless, it was too cheesy and poorly done.
It was.
It was.
And the way the glass shattered and everything, it just kind of falls. It's
no one was alarmed. There's no nurse's station right outside or anything.
What's going on there?
Yeah, what was that big clamor? All right, now we're going to move into our most gratuitous scene. Chad, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, okay. The maggot birth.
Oh, yeah.
Was my most gratuitous. It was just so I did like how they seamlessly tied it together so you think it's happening.
Yeah.
It's not a flashback. It's not a dream. It's not cheesily done that way. It follows in. And then if you were just watching this for the first time, you'd be like, holy shit, is this actually happening?
Yeah.
But when it comes out and then she does kind of wake up and it's, oh my God. So that one was a little,
it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I had that one as well. Another one that I had was just the final transformation into the fly. The whole transformation, the dude's gross, he's nasty, but the fly itself is revolting. And the sound of the flesh peeling off and dropping to the floor, just so gross. So I found that pretty gratuitous. Mike, what did you have?
My first one was just the bloody inside out baboon.
Oh, yeah.
After it was transported. It was the animatronics weren't great or the puppetry weren't great, but it hit. Like you're just like, you didn't know what you were going to see when this fog cleared and just, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's moving, like it's moving around. Yeah. And so, it was pretty gross.
Yeah, it was super gross. Chad, did you have another most gratuitous?
The wrist break in the bar.
Yeah, that was mine too.
That was mine too.
He just hauls off and I was like, I don't know if it was really necessary.
To have a compound fracture?
Yeah. So that was carefully eats chocolate bars. So that was another
And he wears a leather jacket.
And wears a leather jacket. Shirtless, chocolate bar eating, wrist breaking motherfucker.
Badass. Oh gosh. All right. I had that as well. And then I also found like the ooze, like the oozing fingers and the vomit was a lot and pretty gross as well. So I had that. All right. Now we're going to look at what was terrifying or titillating in this film. Mike, can you kick us off?
My first one is just Geena Davis. I found her just beautiful and striking in this film, but it was interesting to see the way she was lit. Like she was classically lit. He was grotesque. And even when he started getting like the sores on his face, but they really hit the soft light across the eyes, a la like 1930s, 1940s film.
Right.
Yeah. But as if she'd go back with like a weird bug-eyed, crazy scientist.
Yeah.
Like the way he's like, do you want to come back to my place? And I'm changing the world. I was like, no, she wouldn't.
There's no way. Absolutely not.
The removal of the stocking, like of all the things to give, she's like,
I did the same. I had that as well. Like I was like, I actually had that and doesn't hold up. Sorry. I did too. Like, give him the shoe.
Yeah.
Like, why are you giving him the stocking? It's all I have. I don't wear jewelry. Oh, okay.
When she first started, like she's like panties? No.
Yeah.
Stockings. For me, what was titillating was that Goldblum was half naked a lot. Like he was just shirtless all the time and you get to see his butt and I like that. So, yeah.
I have to say, like, you didn't really see really cut male actors in that era. So, yeah, he was
pretty chiseled.
Ripped.
Yeah, he was. Chad, did you have anything that terrified or titillated you?
Not really. I thought it was kind of funny after the fly thing. He's got like those pock marks on his face and they went back to his apartment and just like had sex for hours. She's just like, I need to rest. And he's like, no, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
There were so many creepy moments by both the men. In this, where he's forcing her to go into the pod and she says no. And so he gets super mad. So then he goes and gets this other girl, tries to force her into the pod and is only saved by Geena Davis. The sex scenes when he starts to turn into the fly are just rapey. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like,
because it's kind of weird because he turns kind of douchey at the start of the. So is that like, when you were talking about the plot summary, Mike, you were saying like, oh, it's the grossest pest or whatever. Is it trying to make him be revolting? Because that's a total shift from his personality, right?
There was, I can't remember if it was in the research or the director's commentary, but they talked about the life of the fly is basically eating and mating.
Oh,
and so with Brundle,
okay.
He was just like ravenous in his appetite for both.
Chocolate bars
that makes
and
sense.
sex.
Yeah, sugar and sex. Yeah.
And pull-ups.
Pull-ups. He's a great gymnast. So I guess that would be like more terrifying than titillating, I guess, is just his behavior towards women and towards anybody, really. By the time he starts to transform, he's just not a good guy to be around.
No.
Pretty gross, too.
Yeah.
Mike, did you have one more?
Yeah, I did. This is Stathis Borans to Veronica, where he's like trying to reconnect with her. He's like, what about sex? I'm not saying love or affection, just stress relieving sex. You and me. Like he's just
stress relieving. He's just like, so you're saying there's a chance.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. Now we're going to look at what stood the test of time. I'm going to kick us off here. For the most part, I liked the makeup and the effects overall. I think for the time, and I know there's some in the research that we'll talk about some of the makeup and effects for it. It was a lot. It was pretty gross, but I thought it was pretty good overall. I also thought Goldblum acted really well in this film as well.
Yeah.
I felt his acting was very almost fly-like. And Goldblum is renowned for that. Like his acting is just kind of where he's looking around and I wonder why. And then like, and in this one, when he starts to go kind of get that transformation, you see him kind of scattered and always.
Yeah. Like his eyes are always moving.
Yeah. Darting around. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think he did a great job.
I thought he did that well.
Mike, what stood the test of time for you?
My first one is Geena Davis's facial acting when she watches Seth's physical like prowess or performance. So when he goes off to basically perform a gymnastic routine on a high bar, her face, like where she goes from like curiosity to intrigue to like confusion, like it was phenomenal watching her watch that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then my other one was, and I had to cover part of the screen because this is what gets me, is the fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
The removal, the sound, the squirting out of the fluid, everything. I literally watched with my hand over that part of the screen going like,
It was pretty upsetting. And it was one of the like first upsetting parts of the film, that was, you're like, oh, that's gross. Besides the
baboon.
Yes.
The baboon.
Chad, what stood the test of time for you?
The gymnastics scene.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that wasn't Goldblum, but the fact that you can go into a full handstand and bring your feet up and hold yourself and then do basically a shoulder upright push-up is pretty impressive. So that he swings around on the high bar, which is just in his apartment.
Yeah.
Of course. There's a lot of things in there, but not a bed.
Not a bed. Not a good bed.
I found they did an amazing job because usually like when they do that transition to a stunt double, you don't get much of the face or like you notice the physique is a bit different.
Yeah.
It was very seamless and fairly well done.
They matched it up really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was very well done. And then I had another one, just his transition to his makeup. So when he gets to the part where his teeth are falling out and stuff, I thought that makeup kind of looked a little campy. But at the beginning, when you start to see those little bits on his face, start to get all black and pockmarky and stuff like that. And he's walking around all jittery and so that was really well done. When he starts to make that transformation, that was really well done. Like when he had the canes, I thought he looked super creepy. By the time he got to the part where he was, running and smashing windows and stealing her, I thought, okay, whatever. But that first part of the transition, I thought the effects were really well done.
Yeah,
totally. Another thing that stood the test of time for me was that final scene. I liked where he holds the gun up to his head.
Oh, yes.
And it's just like, just fucking shoot me. Just put me out. And it was really sad, actually, when you're looking at that and you can, I don't know, you can kind of see it like you're watching your loved one die, right? Like it could be whether it's a disease or addiction or I don't know, teleportation, fly.
Merging with a pod.
Whatever it might be. But I don't know. It was kind of sad. I was like, oh, that's kind of...
Yeah, it was very sad,
Yeah. Mike, did you have anything else that stood the test of time?
Yeah, for me, I just wrote down the grotesque body horror of this movie stands up.
Right.
This is from 1986, and you could pick apart things, but it was fairly seamless. Like his eating was grotesque. Losing his ear was disgusting.
Oh yeah, on his teeth.
And his teeth.
Yeah,
and it just like it made me feel so uncomfortable. And I think that's why I like this movie. It was just to use a word I tried to take out of my vocabulary. Very unsettling.
Yeah,
For
the last half of the film, it really was. Yeah. He gets weird.
Does get weird.
And my last test of time, Chad, you've already talked about it, but the maggot birth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The transition to believing it's real. This giant maggot was a little hard to believe, but it was still a good prop. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more in there. Is what they said when they're going in, she's having the birth.
Yeah.
And they think that it's out.
Yes.
But then he's like, there's a lot more. There's more in there.
I don't I'd missed that.
And then he says, there's a lot more in there. You're going to have to push. And then he pushes down on her gut. And then that's when the maggot comes out. And I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. I think I was watching through my, my fingers. I didn't notice that he said that.
Yeah. No, I should have put that in my one-liners because it was really quite gross.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross. Now we're going to move into what was eerie to ear splitting. Mike, can you kick us off?
Yeah, so I already mentioned this, but I put the wet pulling sound when he takes off his fingernails. Yeah, there it was.
I didn't like that at all. Awesome.
When he pinches, and there's and he's just, his acting in that, okay, I'm going to give props to him here because his acting in that, the way he's so curious about it, he's like, geez, what the heck's going on here? And he just looks down and then he pushes and it just goes all over the window, the mirror. It's just so gross.
Absolutely nasty. But you'd feel it being Yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to hurt him at all.
Yeah.
Right? Like he just kind of, and what about this one? And then he goes to the next finger. It's just
none of his transformation hurts. Like everything is disgusting and he's just more curiosity. Like when his flesh is falling off, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Which is like really weird as well, because like it's not like he became half fly right away. Like, it's like the fly was in him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Coming through.
Yeah.
So good.
Gross. I didn't really have much for what was eerie or ear splitting. I didn't remember, besides the flesh falling on the floor and those types of noises. I didn't really have much. I did have something in my notes saying that the theme song was pretty intense at the start during the opening credits.
Yep.
I said I don't love the background blurry shit in that opening credits, but I liked the theme song. It was pretty intense.
Blurry shit.
Literally, that's what it said. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for me.
All right. I have one, and it's the baboon scream. When it's going back, just making that noise, and they show it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
too
it's
long.
not like a quick cut. It's going back and forth and screaming, and that it just kind of got me. But I liked the music, the score they used in here to show tension and build things, and they used it sparingly. Like it wasn't over the top. And here's where this is happening.
Yeah.
Da da. Like it was just well done that way.
Nice. Mike, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I really got fixated on the grotesque sounds because the sound of Brundlefly eating later, like he's off screen, but all you hear is all the different mouth sounds, and like he's just regurgitating to like break down the phone. Oh, it was good.
I actually feel ill thinking about it again.
When he explains to her how he has to eat, it's just, oh God.
Every time a fly lands on my food, ever since, like, even from when I first saw this film, every time a fly lands on my food, that's all I picture is Jeff Goldblum, like, blah, blah.
Well, I love how he does it at first in front of her, and he's like, oh, that's gross, isn't it? Like, he just doesn't know. It's like, really? You don't think that's off-putting?
Without warning, too.
Oh, sorry. On the gloves, just like, whatever.
All right. Now we're going to look at the what the fuck moments from this film. Chad, can you start us off?
Well, there's a lot. There are so many times I was like, oh gosh, you're like, what the hell? The monkey was the biggest one for me. When the smoke cleared and he's inside, the primate. When the smoke cleared and he's inside out, it was really unsettling. And I thought, the animatronic was a little mechanic, but the look of it was still pretty off-putting.
Yeah.
It was gross. Yeah. So that was my big what the fuck. And then there were many afterwards. Like, just like,
the whole,
oh, jeez. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, fuck. Oh, shiz.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. So that's mine.
Nice. I had the same one as well. And then the arm breaking scene well was crazy. All right. Now we're going to look at back it up moments. Mike, you had one.
Actually, there's another one that as the conversation went, it came up. But the first one was, and I really liked it, is when Geena Davis or Ronnie has gone back to basically break up with Stathis, like drive the message home, like, no, like we're done.
Yeah.
Don't mess with my story and all that. And he's like monologuing. He's like, oh, she's out there. She's sleeping with someone. I don't know what's going on. And And then it cuts to the baboon sitting in the chair watching, like, just like, like, just like
it's
a
like
therapist.
His therapist. And then he's like, you're okay, right? Well, let's just do this.
So I really loved that scene. And then my other one was when he the effect isn't great, but when he's fighting with Stathis and he like regurgitates on the hand and it melts down and then he like regurgitates on the leg. It was gross, but I don't know where else to put it, but it's a back it up, that whole end scene with that.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Now we're going to see what was hiding in the shadows. Mike, can you kick us off again?
Yeah, my first one, this is almost doesn't hold up, or I don't know where to put it. It's the fact that two main men in this film both have the same initials. You have Stathis Borans and Seth Brundle. And I was just like, that's just lazy writing.
She likes sons of bitches.
Yeah. She bought monogram towels once. And she's never bought
She's like, I got this as a gift and we're not resetting.
I was dating a guy named Simon Brown. We had a China pattern. I'm not changing.
marks are engraved. You know how expensive that is?
And then my other one was, I understand the whole like Einstein, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, even though a lot of those come after this film, but they wear the same thing every day.
Oh, yeah.
Fine, saves your mental capacity from one less decision in a day. But why does he have 5 pairs of shoes?
I was going to say that.
I get everything else, but you don't change your shoes.
You don't need that
day.
many pairs of shoes that are the same, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Something that I had in this category was her going back to the editor, which we already talked about after he stalked her. And then it was just interesting to me how women in the film had more choice than most people do in the US right now in terms of their body autonomy, which I thought was just an interesting note.
Yeah, I kind of like the way this handled it. There was no shaming of the choice.
Yeah. There was a couple questions like, oh, like, are you sure? But no shaming, right? Yeah. So I liked that. Chad, did you have anything?
Did you guys notice that he was filming with a beta movie?
No.
The title of the camcorder was Beta Movie. And so Beta Sam.
Thank you. Please educate me on all your knowledge from your old age.
I'm going to mansplain to you.
For those of you who don't know, I'm a little bit younger.
So VHS and Beta were a big video recording company, and they went head to head, and Beta was supposed to have the best quality, and VHS just got out there faster. And so VHS took over Beta. And so I was just impressed because we had a Beta when I was growing up. I had
Beta too.
And this is supposed to be the best one. And then you'd go to the video store to rent stuff, and there were 5 copies of something and 25 copies of VHS. And you're like, I wonder how this is going to go. But I just thought it was interesting. I haven't seen a Beta anything for that long, and this is the first time I picked up on it. So I just like that.
Thanks for that. Mike, anything else that was hiding in the shadows for you?
I just had a weird question, but like if the computer had the 2 genetic sequences, like it had the Fly and it had Brundle separate, it could analyze and understand the 2. Why didn't he try to reverse engineer and see if the pod could transport and separate? Because he had the 3. Right? Why not try to see if he could split the Fly into one and him into the other? He never went down that route. And I felt like that just made no sense.
Seemed like sense to try that instead of just be Brundlefly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brundlefly.
And then my last one was the plan to splice or fuse himself with Geena Davis and the baby. I was like, but she's wearing clothes. It's just going to go even worse. They're going to be a half cardigan.
When she grabs his jaw and his jaw falls off and then his whole face, the flesh just starts to shed after that. I was just like, oh God.
So gross. All right, now we're going to move into bonus features. I'm going to kick us off with some of my research. When looking at casting Seth Brundle, Cronenberg faced resistance from the studio for hiring Jeff Goldblum. They didn't think he was bankable enough. They actually offered the role to Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
But he denied it to make Lethal Weapon. So they had other actors that they thought would be good for the role, including William Dafoe, Michael Keaton, James Woods, and John Travolta.
Oh, Willem Dafoe as the Fly would have been good. Interesting to see.
I thought so too. And then I was like, John Travolta.
I know about John Travolta.
That would be terrible.
I swear to God. A Brundlefly. That's more Christopher Walken. It's like we're merging.
And then something else I found in my research was that Goldblum required 5 pounds of prosthetic makeup that took up to 5 hours to apply every single day.
Yeah.
And then the vomit was comprised of milk, eggs, and honey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mike, what did you have for bonus features?
First off, the budget was $15 million and the box office was $60.6 million. Yeah, so it was quite successful when it came out.
Did you have another?
Yeah, I watched an interview, but also listened to the director's commentary. And the one thing I really liked was Cronenberg discussed about how this was essentially a romance film, but had it been a straight romance, it wouldn't have worked. But because it got put into the sci-fi genre, he could do a bit more with it. But he said basically what this was is a couple meets, they fall in love, one of them gets sick, and then the other one helps them die.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
And he's like, no one would go to see that film, but then you add in this horror element.
Right.
Yeah.
And suddenly becomes attractive to audiences.
Just to piggyback off that, Cronenberg was surprised when the film was seen by some critics as a cultural metaphor for AIDS, since he originally intended the film to be more general analogy for disease itself, terminal conditions like cancer, and more specifically, the aging process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. Chad, did you have another?
The famous tagline, "Be afraid, be very afraid," originated in this film as dialogue spoken by Veronica Quiff, Geena Davis.
And apparently Mel Brooks was the one that sort of came up with that line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. There were 2 deleted scenes that were removed, and one was Seth fusing the primate with a cat, and it becomes so aggressive that he has to beat it to death with a lead pipe.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And then another one is Seth was eating out of a dumpster before being spotted by a woman, and the woman screamed. So Seth attacks her by spitting vomit on her and eating her body. So those were 2 deleted ones that I thought would probably be pretty. I think the first one would be gross. Yeah.
They said they took that one out because it would have turned the audience against Seth. And so you'd have no investment in his.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Good call.
On the deleted scenes, there was another one that was supposed to have Brundlefly climbing on the outside of his building and an insect leg emerging from his side to show like he was growing the 6 legs or had the 6 limbs of a fly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then another one was an alternate ending that had Veronica having another birthing sequence.
Another one? We need another one?
No more birthing.
But this one was a butterfly that came out.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah, so it ended happy.
That doesn't make
Doesn't make it better. Just butterflies coming out of the vagina.
I don't. That's so upsetting to me.
What is this?
What is happening?
Tampon commercial? What's going on here?
Why have a fly when you get butterflies?
When you get butterflies here.
The visual design of the teleportation pods, Cronenberg drew inspiration from the engines of the Ducati motorcycle. And prior to the final design, the pods were patterned after glass shower stalls or phone booths, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah. Mike, did you have any?
The visual director, Chris Wallace, and his crew, I love this. They had a meeting prior to filming and they discussed whether to work on this film or Gremlins 2.
Oh.
And they unanimously decided that although it would be very difficult coming up with the design and starting construction on this in 3 months, like they had to do this.
Right.
And thank God, like for their careers,
yes.
This or Gremlins 2. Sorry.
Gremlins 2.
Gremlins 2.
Not number 1. Yeah.
Sometimes we come to a fork in the road. We chose the right path. Chad, did you have another?
Yeah, the scene where Seth and Ronnie are having coffee at the restaurant. Seth is talking endlessly, was only half scripted when production began. Remainder was written the night before the scene was going to be filmed. Jeff Goldblum felt that he could add more to the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right. So another piece that I found was that the baboon named Typhoon was very volatile to work with. Oh. He often created a very terrifying environment on the set. So he was apparently untrained as a performer, which is terrifying.
Right.
He was wild, unpredictable, and he had apparently, I don't know who said this, but he had superhuman strength. And after being frightened by flashing lights in the teleportation pod, he busted through the door to escape. So in addition to the animal wrangler, it was actually Jeff Goldblum who expressed physical dominance and helped to tame him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Goldblum's 6'4", so he just intimidated him.
That's like they just have an untrained.
Remember in The Omen?
Yeah.
When they drove through the baboon part and they all just attacked a car and they just let wild baboons attack the car. It was
because they took one and put it in the back seat.
Yes. I was like, Jesus. And those things have fang. Oh my God. I just don't know. Yeah. Crazy.
They're kind of scary. Mike, did you have some more?
Yeah, I found this one kind of funny, and it's just on the topic of the baboon. So for the inside out scene, there were 2 puppeteers that had to be under the floor for the animation while a third person pumped out blood. They had to wear raincoats down there because of the amount of blood that was like coming through the floor.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
But apparently when they would like cut or break, they would forget to like let them out from under the floor. So they spent hours down there just like waiting. The next scene to go. Yeah.
Oh, poor guys.
I had one. Geena Davis's acting when Jeff Goldblum, his ear fell off, was real. Her reaction to the film was genuine. She was genuinely shocked when it was filmed, and David Cronenberg kept the take of her reaction in the film.
Oh, that's awesome. Mike, did you have any more?
Yeah, I found this one quite interesting because I didn't catch it when we watched the film. And Sam, I thought you were actually going to mention it when you were talking about some of this. But as he's transforming, Seth goes through the 5 stages of grief. So denial, as he doesn't believe that there's anything wrong with him. Anger, as he loses his temper easily. Fear, as he watches his human body deteriorate. Bargaining, as he attempts to fuse with another life form.
Oh,
and then acceptance, as he begs Veronica to shoot him.
Oh, interesting.
Great. Anything else?
After the film was released, Jeff Goldblum wrote to Vincent Price, who starred in the original Fly.
I read.
And Goldblum said to Price in the letter, "I hope you'll like it as much as I like yours." And Price was very touched, went to see the film and wrote back saying, "The film was wonderful right up to a certain point. It went a little too far."
Oh.
And then my last one was Siskel and Ebert discussed this when they were doing their best of 1986.
Oh,
This was on Siskel's list. It was number 10. And he says there was a certain nobility in the scientist looking to achieve something great. And he said it was a great adventure and a fine love story. And Ebert said it was in his top 20 and that Jeff Goldblum should have won an Oscar for his role in this film.
oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he did really well. So
He did well. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to look at our watchability scale. Mike, what would you rate this film?
This one's an 8 for me. I really liked it. It's not I don't know. It's not a 10, like, oh, this is like up there in the canon of horror, but I found it very enjoyable to watch. I think people should see this for its place and where it is. When you talk about Cronenberg and his body horror and his grotesqueness, he does have others that are a bit weirder and bizarre, but this is a good introduction to what Cronenberg does and sort of how far he goes with his gore. And I found very few flaws with this. So
Awesome.
Nice.
I wouldn't go that high, but I did give it a 7 on my scale. I overall enjoyed it. I like, it being related to aging or caring for a sick, like you're in love with someone who's sick or ill, has addiction, whatever it might be. So I did like that. It was a bit grotesque, obviously, but I did enjoy it overall. And I think people should watch it. So yeah, a 7.
Yeah. So, and when I came in here initially, I was pretty harsh. Like after talking about this, it's kind of rekindled what I felt about it when I watched it the first couple of times that I'd seen it. Maybe I've just watched it too many times and I'm just over it, but it does have a really good story. The acting is very well done. For the time, the special effects were amazing and a lot of it still holds up. So I'm going to kind of backtrack, I guess, and give it a 7. I'll go up to a 7.
nice.
Perfect.
Because it's definitely worth checking out. And I don't want to have my, beaten down view of the film because I've seen it so much affect somebody else's, because it is definitely worth seeing.
Yeah. And I would like, it was my first time seeing it, and would I go see it a bunch of other times? Probably not. Like I got it. I saw it.
Yeah.
I have thoughts, feelings, but I don't know if I'd rewatch it, but I think it's worth watching for anyone.
For sure.
All right. Thank you very much for listening to us today. Remember to follow us on Instagram. We are at ScreamStreamPod. Stop by our website, screamsandstreams.com, where we have information about our episodes, descriptions of our categories, links to our research, our watchability scale, and a page where you can recommend movies that you want us to discuss. And please rate, comment on, and subscribe to our show on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. Until next time, this has been Sam and
Mike.
and
Chad.
scare you later.